Hi, I'm Ben. There once was a boy who was happy. He wasn't just happy at times, though. He was happy being sad and happy being afraid. He was happy with himself. He was happy with the parts of himself that he liked, but also the parts he didn't like. Now, some of you may be thinking that I'm talking about myself, or even the person that exists, but I'm not. This person doesn't exist, but if there's one thing I learned while at Montessori, it's that this person was onto something. I strive to be like him because I know two things. I know that I am the person who I want to be, and that no matter what happens, it can be used for good. As some of you may know, our French class went to France a couple spring breaks ago. It was awesome. I could talk about it for hours, but Chris said we only have 3 minutes. It's filled with stories. One of my favorite ones is when we were playing basketball with some of the French kids, and one of them, noticing my watch, asked me what time it was. So I looked down, he looked down at my watch too, and then I read it wrong. And then I tried to tell him what time it was, or what time I thought it was, in French, and said that wrong too. So I walked away, thinking about how stupid I must have sounded. Most of the time, though, my watches and other accessories served me well. While in France, I insisted on buying a tricolored scarf. My companions would testify. I kept saying, I need to find a tricolored scarf. And luckily, I found this one. I still enjoy it, and the memories it brings back to France today. I would relive those memories in a heartbeat, but I've decided not to try. Instead, I live in the moment. Be that moment a sad moment like today, when I'm reminiscing and moving on. In fact, today was the day that I used the last 6 months to tell myself to live in the moment. I would say to myself, just be glad it's not graduation yet. You still have time here. But here I am. Don't get me wrong, though. That moment could also be a great exhilarating moment like our New York trip. In fact, I've got a story from a New York trip about a different type of network completely. The bow tie. It was perfectly normal that I had a bow tie in New York. That's what I thought, at least. So, our class was sitting in this Italian restaurant, and the waiters were walking around like they do with their dress shirts and bow ties, which got Megan, JJ, Chris, Caleb, and I talking about how cool bow ties are. And I happened to have mine in my pocket in case my regular tie failed for some reason. So I whipped it out and said, well, I've got a bow tie right here. Everyone laughed, and JJ wore it for the rest of the day. This is an example of how things only I wear, like my bow ties and my scarves, help me make myself happy. Yes, happy, not unique like you may have been expecting. Happy. Because when I'm unique, when I do things only I do, it makes me feel special. And when I feel special, then I'm happy with who I am. People spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to fit in, trying to be like the rest of the crowd. My advice to them would be to stop worrying about that and to find the one thing that makes them unique and blow it up like the faces of people on billboards you see on the side of the highway. Now before I go, I've got one more story to tell. Back in the 1800s, people did a lot of things we don't do anymore. They farmed more, they sewed more, and did a lot of things we now rely on stores for. And because of this, it wasn't uncommon, especially in rural Colorado, for people to get an education only up to 8th grade, or the equivalent thereof. Now, if I didn't have the chance to have an education from here on out, I couldn't have been more happy with Montessori. Montessori is amazing. It's taught me so much, least of all the things that they actually teach. Thank you, Jesse, David, Chris, Tammy, Amy, Kristen, Angelica, all my other teachers, my parents, and especially my friends, for making it a great time. I really appreciate all that you've done for us, me. I hope you realize it too. Thank you.